So let's talk about fighting games. I love fighting games. I play them almost every day. I have so many of them in my rotation that I enjoy and like to revisit at certain times. But today I wanted to talk about specifically the future of fighting games, and that revolves around Street Fighter 6 in general, because as you've all may seen, the game has been announced and there's been so much content released, especially after Tokyo Game Show just a couple weeks ago. And what I'm excited most about isn't just the characters themselves being revealed and the gameplay, but also everything surrounding the game as well, in terms of the different game modes that they look to be including. It seems as though Capcom have finally got the message and tried to make like a video game out of a fighting game and not just a fighting game, you know? Because I think a lot of fighting games that come out recently, over a long time actually, just come out and have a versus mode, arcade mode, some kind of story that isn't too much put into it, but there's a story there, and online where you can go play other players around the world and play player match or rank match or other different modes online. But it's a fairly simple game that's still a full price game that I think a lot of people nowadays aren't impressed by anymore. I think especially with the release of something like DNF Duel, we can see how the lack of content can really impact a game. I don't think that game is completely dead, but it definitely doesn't have a good reputation for what it has right now and what it hasn't done so far, like release a season pass or any news of any new characters coming or any new stages and stuff like that. So with how Street Fighter 6 is with the World Tour mode, I think that's what it's called, or it might be called something different, where you can travel around and learn new moves for your avatar from different characters in the Street Fighter universe. They can become like your sensei and stuff like that. That's really cool. I think it's a good idea. It reminds me kind of Xenoverse, the Dragon Ball game. You can do a lot of that stuff in the game too. It's not traditional fighter, but it still has the same concept going on. And I think that's where the future of fighting games lie. I think you really need to, I mean, I don't know if the devs be watching this video, but I think you really need to give players an incentive to turn on the game every day and not just to grind to become a better player. Because to be quite honest with you, not everybody who plays fighting games wants to be the best player. They kind of just want to jump in and have some fun. So if you give them more grinds in the game other than trying to get good at fighting other people online, I think that's what would keep people around and keep your game alive, basically. And we've seen that throughout other games as well. It's not to say that other games haven't tried that already. Some good examples would be Netherrealm. I think Netherrealm have the best so far. Before Street Fighter 6 comes out, what Capcom have done, I think Netherrealm Studios have had the best idea when it comes to fighting games. They put a lot of effort into their story, but they also have like the crypto mode in the MK11, and they had the customizable character loadouts, which was a very interesting idea. I mean, that would be really hard to balance in the actual game, because most of the time you'd probably find that a lot of players would just use the same loadout because it would be considered the best for that character. But if it was balanced, I don't know if it is balanced, because I haven't played the game in a very long time, but it would give people the freedom to be able to make their character kind of unique to them and stuff like that, which is very interesting. And I think that's something that uniqueness in your own character or how you're perceived online is something that's very big nowadays. If you look at games like Fortnite, you know, people they love the fact that they can have their different emotes and the different skins for their characters just to show off what they have to other players when they play the game. And I think fighting games are behind on that. They really need to implement ways for players to be able to show off some rare items that they may have unlocked by grinding the game or playing this different game mode, or even from microtransactions. That's probably something that's going to happen eventually for cosmetics and stuff like that. Another game that's tried is Grand Blue Fantasy. I know they had their story mode and like the side-scrolling beat 'em up kind of thing they had going on, which wasn't, I wouldn't say it was amazing, but it was something else to do other than fight online or fight in a versus mode or any other mode that requires you to just fight against a CPU or another player. It was an interesting kind of thing, and they use that as a way to be able to grind for the different weapon skins that you can change for each character. And I did see a lot of people actually grinding that story mode to get those different skins for their weapons for their characters, which, I mean, even though that mode wasn't that great, it still goes to show that players are still looking for other things to do within a fighting game other than to just fight other players online. And, you know, had Dragon Ball had it with the raid battles, even though I feel as though Bandai should have put more emphasis on that game mode to have more players play it. But obviously because of the netcode, it was still kind of a tricky thing to do when you're having like three players play together in the same team. But now with rollback, that might change things, and then a lot of other players might get to explore that now and have fun in that game mode. And yeah, there's been quite a few other games that have tried some things outside of that. I know Soul Calibur has their whole story mode with, you know, creating your own character and going on an adventure. That's a very interesting part of the game. Tekken 7 has just the player customization or character customization, which, I mean, in this day and age is no good. I don't know if you can ask anybody who plays Tekken, I don't know how many of them spend the coins that they have to buy a bunch of stuff in the game to customize their characters with. I mean, I customize my characters and a lot of players do, but I don't think it's an incentive for casual players to turn on the game and start playing. I don't think it's enough. There's no rarities and stuff like that for people to collect, or there's nothing to grind for. It's just that you have a bunch of points and everything is cheap anyway, and it's not been updated for a while. We've had some new stuff here and there, but you know, it is what it is. But with Street Fighter 6, again, as I was saying before, it looks like something that is gonna set a new standard for games, actually. Even though, you know, Netherrealm, I feel as though is the closest towards doing something like that. I think because Street Fighter is Street Fighter and it's the biggest fighting game that you can possibly think of. If you ask most people, that's what they would know. If that becomes a game where more casual audiences can just jump in and have some fun or chill in the game because they have the virtual hub where you can even play classic games and stuff like that. If they can keep up with the bringing out more content for you to like customize your avatar with, even customize your in-game player and have different things. I know in Street Fighter 5 they from the last time I played, they had weekly and like monthly or daily missions and stuff like that where you do specific things that you can earn points from completing those different missions, which was a good idea. I don't think they implemented it in a way that it's like very visible to players when they finish a game. Like just for example, like if you play like a FPS game or like Call of Duty or something like that, after you finish a match, you would see like a bar come across the screen, level up, you earn this, you're like corporate general, you know what I mean? You're like I said corporate general, like corporal general, whatever the hell the badges you get when you level up are. You can clearly see as a player every time you finish a match that you're moving towards something to unlock, right? So if you put that in a fighting game, I think that would be much more of an incentive for casual players, because even when they're losing, they can feel as though at least I'm getting something out of playing this game. Like if I'm playing a game and I've lost online, at least I earn some experience points and I can unlock this gi from my avatar or this hat or this pair of glasses. Like, you know, it gives people more of a reason to jump in, because, you know, coming from someone who's played online and been on losing streaks, it's very demotivating to want to continue playing the game if you just lose constantly. Because as I said before, not every single player who plays a fighting game has that sort of strong mindset to just try and overcome being bad at the game and learning and trying their best to be good and fight against people online. Other people just kind of want to have a good time. Now I'm sort of in the middle. I still always want to try and be better than the people I'm fighting against and try to climb up the leaderboard and stuff like that. But I think to have that freedom to do other stuff and have another grind in the game is very good. I think they can take aspects from every other game that's out there. I think it's just fighting games that's behind right now, because, you know, you can look at, as I mentioned before, FPS games, even like MOBAs, even gacha games at this point. Like gacha games are a prime example of how you put different grinds within the game to keep people logging in and playing the game every single day. But I don't want it in a predatory sense like how a lot of gacha games do with a fighting game. I still want it to stay fun, but have other things that you can just turn the game on to play for a little bit. Like, oh man, you know, you don't want to play some ranked today, but you want to customize your character, or you want to just go to the hub and play some classic games, or, you know, it's just something like that you give people a different option when it comes to turning on your game, rather than just thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to go into play a match, I'm going to go into rank match, and then after that I'm going to turn the game off. You want people you want to create an ecosystem within your game for people to stay there. And I don't know who I'm talking to. I feel as though I'm making a presentation to devs, but it is just my ideas on the games and what I've seen so far and what I feel could be implemented in the future of fighting games. I think that'd be really exciting. One more thing I want to mention is the free-to-play scheme for fighting games. I don't think that's going to be implemented with Street Fighter 6, because, to be quite honest, the package that they seem to be giving to players from what we've seen and the stuff that they've added into their game, that is well worth the $60-70 in my opinion. If it's like a full experience of a game and it's actually good, then I don't think that game would be free. But there is a possibility for games to be free, like the League of Legends fighting game that's coming out whenever it does, 2-3 years from now. I think that might be a free-to-play game, and that also might be a sort of a genre-defining game. It might be a very cool way to get people involved in fighting games to start off, and then, you know, as time goes along, they can play around with the game and practice. And if they find that they are enjoying the game, they can start, you know, buying more characters and seeing and exploring different ways of playing the game. And I think that would be interesting to get a lot of people into fighting games, because we've seen it with Multiverses. I mean, completely free game, and it just broke. I don't want to say it broke the internet, but it had so many people playing even before the game came out, that it just goes to show that if you give somebody something to play at least for free to test out, and it's actually good, then, you know, the player retention is there, and then they're more likely to even spend money on your game when they jump in. So yeah, that's there's a lot of things fighting games can do, and I just hope to see that for the future of fighting games, because I really do love fighting games, and I encourage everybody who doesn't play fighting games to try them out, because they're really fun and they're not as hard as people may think. It's a different way of playing other games, but the approach is still the same in that you play the game and, you know, you try and enjoy the best you can. But I think there are things about fighting games that do block players, especially more casual players, from fully enjoying their games, because there isn't enough in there to bring people to keep playing over a long period of time. It just kind of forces you to go online and play against other people, or play this arcade mode, or play this story mode that isn't really that good, or is good like the Netherrealm ones, but then after it's over, it's like, well, that's it. So, you know, yeah, that's my thoughts on fighting games so far, and what I hope for the future. If you have an idea, let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to talk with you guys about it. And if you want to see more fighting game content on this channel, let me know in the comment section below as well. I'd love to. I always play fighting games, and I love to talk more about them. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It would really help me out, and subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.